In this video, we're going to look at writing the equation of a line from a graph. Writing an equation of a line from a graph. So the form of the line we're going to use is slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. So our goal is we got to figure out what in the world m is and what in the world b is. Once we know those two numbers, we can put together an equation, and then you have yourself an equation of a line. So the m is what is our slope. What is our slope? So how we're changing over time, how many we're going up or down and moving to the right. So our slope there. How we come and refer to it is our rise over run. The rise is how many units you're going up or how many units you're going down, and a run is how many units we're going to the right. And we'll talk a little bit more about slope when we get to our first example. Our b of y equals mx plus b is going to be our y-intercept. Where do we cross the y-axis? Where do we cross the y-axis? So as long as I can find my slope and y-intercept from the graph, I can put together an equation of a line. So let's get to it. So I have this line, and I've plotted a few points along the line. Our goal is let's start with the slope. Let's figure out the m, then we'll figure out the b, and then we'll put it all together. Let's figure out our slope. Now, how I do slope is I work it the same way you kind of read. When we read sentences from left to right. So when I'm talking about finding the slope, I'm going to figure out a slope going from a left point to a right point, a left to right, left to right. So maybe I'm going to look at this leftmost point here to this right point here. I'm going to figure out the slope between just these 2 points on the line. So the first thing I need to figure out is our rise over run. How many we're going up or down, a very vertical movement. So if we're looking at this first one here, to go from the left point to the right point, we need to go down 1, 2, down 2. Since we're going down 2, I'm going to call that rise -2. When you're going down, it's going to be negative. If you counted up, it's going to be positive. So we counted down 2, and then we move right 1, 2, 3. Down 2, that's my rise, -2. My run is how many we move over. So your rise is a vertical movement up and down. Your run is just counting how many units to the right. Okay, so we went down 2 into the right 3. So my slope is going to be -2 over 3. My b is my y-intercept, which is just where does my graph cross the y-axis. The y-axis being this vertical axis right here. We cross on this graph at +5, so my b is 5. So once I have my slope and my y-intercept, I can put it all entirely together. Y equals -2 over 3x plus 5. Y equals -2 over 3x plus 5. If my y-intercept had been negative, I would have used a negative number there. So this is the equation of this line from that graph. Let's do another one. We're going to write the equation of the line from the following graph. So new graph, have some points here labeled, points. Let's figure out our slope, aka our m, and then we'll figure out our y-intercept, our b. So slope, again, I go from a left point to a right point, left to right, okay? So that's what I'm going to do here. Left point here, right point there. So rise, I go up. I know my hand's blocking the view a tad. I go up 1, 2, 3 units. Since I'm going upwards, that is a +3. And then I go right 1. So I rise 1, 2, 3, and then I move right 1. Rise 3, run 1. That is 3 over 1. That fraction does simplify. 3 over 1 is just the same as 3. My y-intercept is just where do we cross the y-axis, which if we look here, 1, 2, 3, +3 is my y-intercept. So putting it all together, y equals 3x plus 3. That is my equation of the line. Final one I want to look at here. We're going to write the equation of this line represented in this graph. Looks a little bit different here. Looks a little bit different. That where you should be a little bit cautious here. It is a special type of line for us. It is a vertical line, So occasionally you can be given a horizontal or vertical line. You need to be careful there, careful there. Anytime I see a horizontal or vertical line, I immediately start thinking about our go-to saying, hoi vux, hoi vux. Quickly overview of hoi vux. The H stands for horizontal lines have zero slope, and the equation is y equals and then some number. Vux, vertical lines have an undefined slope and have x equals a number as their equation. So when I look at this line, that is a vertical line. So I'm thinking about this setup right here. I know I have a vertical line. It's not asking me for the slope, but I know it's undefined. But I know my equation is x equals, x equals. So when I look at this graph, I just need to look at where in the world do I cross that x-axis. It happens right here at positive 2. So x equals 2 is my line. So be on the lookout for those horizontal and vertical lines. So that, my friends, was writing an equation of a line from a graph.